Come, let's bat.
Chalo, Tiger. Let's shoot. Go for it.
Which camera?
बिल्ड मोटिवेशन थी कि मैं इस देश के लिए वर्ल्ड कप जीतना चाहता था.
We had this confidence, that we can lift the cup. We always had that belief.
A turnaround was bound to happen, and I think it was a perfect turnaround.
तेंदुलकर हमेशा मुझे एक बात कहता है कि किसी को भी जवाब देना तो अपने बैट से दो.
एक सपनों का वर्ल्ड कप जो पूरे देश का है.
Well, of course, it's a great pleasure to have the kind of players who have been part of the side.
अगर शिद्दत से किसी चीज को चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे दिलाने में साजिश रचती है.
Yeah, stars had aligned.
I think there was a certain inevitability that one felt about that World Cup final.
Not just a city of dreams, but a city where dreams come true.
I really do feel this is like yesterday. It's been 12 years. I can't believe it. And I remember each and every moment.
Yes, there was magic all around.
The Janmabhoomi and the Karmabhoomi of Sachin Tendulkar, and that Sachin had everything that he wanted on the field of cricket, but for the Cricket World Cup. I think all of it had aligned for India then to win the World Cup.
While you can never predict what happens in sport, and sport is the ultimate example of reality TV with all the twists and turns, I think on that particular day at the Wankhede Stadium, they were the children of destiny, the men of destiny.
Everything was poetic. Everything was poetic.
And remember, this was the first match that India played in that revamped new look Wankhede. They hadn't played a game before that. The stadium had hosted a couple of league games during that World Cup, but India weren't part of that league game. So the first time a Sachin Tendulkar or the Indian team played in the new look Wankhede was in that World Cup final.
On the morning of the game, I wasn't nervous. I remember feeling a few butterflies on the eve of the game.
The person I met on the day of the final, the first person I met that day, since I was in the team hotel, the Sri Lankan team had come for breakfast first, and Kumara Sangakkara. So I did not say best of luck. I did not say best of luck to Sanga. सबसे लंबा इंतजार है. ये इस देश का सबसे बड़ा सपना है, और ये उस सपने को साकार करने के लिए इस देश का सबसे सुनहरा मौका है.
श्वेता, 28 साल कहने को होते हैं, मगर 28 साल पहले इसी शहर ने वो सपना दिखाया था, और 28 साल बाद हम माया नगरी में आए हैं उस सपने को एक बार फिर हकीकत में बदलने के लिए.
This was one night before the finals. I mean, exactly 24 hours. I don't know. That night I was very nervous. As journalists, even though you are taught to be neutral, I think on such occasions you feel part of the celebrations. I mean, you cannot separate the fan inside you or the Indian inside you.
I'd done a preview show with our panelists, and those shows that we had done was also an outdoor location somewhere else in Mumbai. Dean Jones, the late great Dean Jones, was very bullish about India winning, and every time he would say that, you could hear the crowd, break into a chair.
No, when covering cricket, I was never a journalist. The journalist was lost midway.
And everybody just wanted India to win. And rather than, because they didn't have an option to go to the players and tell them, so they would tell us, yaar, please, cup leke jana hai, cup lekar jana hai.
I was always a fan. So getting angry when something went wrong, and going ecstatic when you win.
The morning of the game, I was feeling very proud. I can be part of history. I was just 10 years old when the 1983 World Cup happened.
For my generation, the '83 World Cup was something that you'd just grown up listening to. That was the only reference point in Indian cricket. I think all of that changed on 2nd of April.
So I had experienced that 1983 final as a fan. This time, like I said, on the morning of the game, that if India were to win, I would also be part of the cricketing folklore for a long, long time.
I was there at the 2007 World Cup, which I think alongside match fixing probably was the lowest ebb that Indian cricket had reached.
But that anger, that hurt, motivated them. Months after that, when India won the World T20 in 2007, we knew that this team can also win the World Cup.
If you are mentally at peace with the environment of the team, where you're playing for each other, that also makes a major difference.
The difference was the attitude of the team management. Unlike Greg Chappell, who told the players what was required of them, Gary Kirsten asked the players what was required of the team management to support them in their dream.
The problem was that there was mistrust between players. There was, no stability in terms of who's batting where and what their role they're going to be performing. So I think that all changed, and credit then to Gary Kirsten to have created that environment.
If you look at the entire World Cup journey in 11, the Indians never played to their potential. They were always like this, up and down, up and down. But they were so good that they still won the World Cup. They did save their best for the last.
Coming to the 2011, I think one of the driving force has to be the fact that this was Sachin Tendulkar's last World Cup, and I think each member of the team realized that.
एक अजीब सी प्रार्थना ऐसा लगता था जैसे चारों तरफ है. It always seemed that the people were wishing for something.
I think there was a sense of almost fulfillment for those of us who had watched Sachin Tendulkar from the Maidans to the big stadiums over 30 years.
See, as Indians, we would always be very, very emotional about cricket. Entire story started a couple of months before the World Cup. Sachin ke liye jeetna hai, Sachin ke liye jeetna hai.
Had watched this quite remarkable talent as a teenager grow up into this phenomenal legend, almost the culmination of a chapter in our lives, because we had all grown up watching Sachin Tendulkar bat.
He had a lucky bat. So that bat, he had been using, the same bat he had been using for about 18 months. The chip would come off, the edges would come off. Sachin would repair the bat himself. Before the World Cup, he sent the bat to Jalandhar, to Somi Kohli, who owns the BB Sports Company. So he said, bat मेरे पास आया, and मैंने सचिन को कहा यार इसी तरह का एक और बना देते हैं. Sachin said, नहीं, मुझे यही bat ठीक कराना है. And it was the same bat that Sachin used during the World Cup.
In 2007, they were knocked out, but the painful thing for the Indian team was that they had to stay around for the remaining matches of the group stages to get over, and I was staying in the same hotel. So I remember coming across Sachin Tendulkar.
Normally Sachin, you know how he is, he doesn't really open up on the eve of the game. So he started a conversation. Sachin said, यार मैंने इनको कहा है, मुझे open करने दो, मैं जिता दूंगा. But they're not listening to me. So it was surprising, and Sachin did his usual stint and went away.
There were a few people close to him, and I got a sense that he was contemplating quitting the sport, or at least white ball cricket for that matter, and then continue focusing on Test cricket, because he had thought by the time 5 World Cups, I haven't got it, and it's never going to get better from here. So let me just finish it.
2007 में जब हम वापस आए थे, वो मेरे लाइफ का क्रिकेट का लोएस्ट मोमेंट था, और उस समय एक्चुअली कहा तो माइंड में थॉट आया कि बस मुझे और क्रिकेट नहीं खेलना है, मुझे रिटायर होना है. और उस समय मेरे भाई ने, अजीत ने, वहाँ पे घर पे हमारा डिस्कशन हुआ, और मैंने कहा कि बहुत हो गया है. उस समय उसने मुझे याद दिलवाया कि ना नेक्स्ट वर्ल्ड कप इंडिया में हो रहा है, वानखेड़े स्टेडियम पे फाइनल है. कैन यू इमेजिन तुम्हारे हाथ में वो वर्ल्ड कप की ट्रॉफी होगी और तुम विक्ट्री लैप ले रहे हो.
But we cannot forget the fact that this was a team which did not just have one Sachin Tendulkar. Because ऐसा होता था ना, Sachin out, then people would switch off their television sets. You had Virender Sehwag and a Gautam Gambhir at the top of your batting order.
मुझे बाकी खिलाड़ियों का नहीं पता, मे बी उनका वो मोटिवेशन होगी, बट मेरी कभी भी वो मोटिवेशन नहीं थी कि मैं सचिन के लिए वर्ल्ड कप जीतना चाहता था. मेरे लिए मोटिवेशन थी कि मैं इस देश के लिए वर्ल्ड कप जीतना चाहता था, बिकॉज देश किसी भी इंडिविजुअल से बहुत बड़ा है. और अल्टीमेटली किसको क्या मोटिवेट करता है वो उसकी अपनी पर्सनल टेक है. कई खिलाड़ियों को मे बी सचिन मोटिवेट कर रहा था, बट मेरे को हमेशा देश ने मोटिवेट किया. देश के लिए जीतना ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट था रादर देन किसी इंडिविजुअल के लिए.
So it wasn't as if he was taking on Sachin, but he made a very relevant point that Sachin can be a subplot, but the main plot was to win it for the country. And there are times when the subplots can actually distract you.
Each and every player in this unit believed that we could win. I did not see a single player who skipped a single practice session. Not a single.
So it took us 3 years to prepare for the World Cup and to win the World Cup.
It was a great team effort. We fought through tough times and stayed together. And we came glorious.
Well, we had this confidence, that we can lift the cup. We always had that belief.
I think as a team we played really, really well and everyone made a contribution at the right time in the field as well.
नर्व्स तो होती हैं और नर्व्स उतनी ही होनी चाहिए जितनी किसी और मैच में होनी चाहिए.
अगर एंजॉय नहीं कर रहे हैं तो ज़्यादा प्रेशर लेने से बहुत सी चीज़ें ख़राब भी हो जाती हैं.
So every match we were playing, we were discussing that this is the World Cup final we are playing. And we have to win this match.
When I came to the side, I knew if I get the chance in this World Cup, I'll give my best shot.
In the knockout stages, I don't think I've seen the team play, as a tighter unit in the last 3 years.
फाइनल से पहले, इतने बड़े मैच से पहले, हमारी जो टीम मीटिंग थी, वो सबसे शॉर्ट मीटिंग आज तक की होगी. सिर्फ 2 मिनट.
A turnaround was bound to happen, and I think it was a perfect turnaround.
सबने यही कहा, just go out there and lift this cup.
I mean, you can't take it at face value. Clearly, there is a lot of pressure. It's a World Cup final. You're playing at home.
When they speak about the fact that the preparation had started 3 years ago, it actually had. There was a lot of planning which was going on around the Indian cricket team.
The eyes of the world are in you, so many expectations, and I think they feel the pressure from the hotel itself. When the room service guy comes in to give you your breakfast, or you're heading to the team bus, the darban that opens the door of the hotel, to the driver that's driving you there, then to the staff that receives you there or looks after you in the dressing room. Everyone's saying, "Sir, aaj jeet jana, hamare liye jeet jana." So there's no way that you can insulate yourself and not feel the pressure. It's how you handle it, I think, which makes the big difference.
Those days, this song was a rage, De Ghuma Ke. And I would listen to the song right throughout my journey from my drive from Gurgaon to Delhi.
So we had Kapil Dev, Saurav Ganguly, Arjuna Rantunga. This was really the best, highest quality commentary that you could expect on the World Cup. And they were all with us in the studios. And it was a fantastic lineup. We planned it in great detail in the same way as you'd plan an exit poll or counting day.
There are people queued up and waiting to go inside the stadium, so you keep talking to them and going ahead, so you don't realize how much you walk. I'm saying a kilometer, but could be more than that.
I remember, going in my car to the stadium, and so that was the atmosphere. And that's when I saw that, I realized, the magnitude of that entire event and how people were glued in.
This is a story that had riveted India because we'd all grown up hearing about the exploits of the 1983 World Cup winning team, and we never, for some reason, experienced that. This was the moment when it came together.
When I came to office, again, like I said, anxiety, excitement, eagerness, I knew that people would be watching us.
Typically, Indian fans are so obsessed with India doing well and winning.
Somehow, I knew that Sri Lanka were not going to be easy because they had a great bowling lineup. But somehow, I also, when the toss happened and when I saw their team and the changes that they had made, I felt that India had a chance. Sri Lanka were either trying to do something out of the box which normally doesn't work in a World Cup final, or they had panicked.
If I still remember my stats correctly, 9 finals before that, 7 had been won by teams batting first. In those days, pressure games, batting first was the thing to do, and Sri Lanka had won the toss and they were batting first. It was always going to be pressure for India.
When the national anthem was played that day, there are people who often get agitated that it's just a cricket match. But on that day, it was not just a cricket match.
That emotion, that moment cannot be reproduced.
And the entire stadium was very, very emotional at that time. Every single person was nervous. I think nobody had come there thinking that it's a regular match, it's just a cricket match. Nobody had come there thinking that.
Overall in the tournament, that was the case. So everyone really stepped up on a given day. There were players at a given point or a given situation in a match that would turn out to be match winners for you. And I think that would be a hallmark of most champion teams.
Bhaji is one such character you always want around when you're playing such a game, because he never says die.
At the Wankhede Stadium, where the spinners do get the ball to turn and for the ball to bounce, it was an opportunity for him to show that I belong to this stage where on a big day, I am the one who will do better.
Every time he saw that the body language was dropping in the team while you were fielding or batting, he got everyone together and told that I feel the body language is dropping, you need to give your 100%, especially in the finals. He said, after 20 overs, he said, we've got 70 more overs to go. This day is not going to come back in your lives. Give your 100% and we'll see what happens after that.
So stronger teams would have that combination. They would have great players where there would always be one player with that X factor.
Yuvraj Singh went up to Dhoni and had insisted that he wanted to bowl. Dhoni always trusted Yuvi, and he didn't think twice before handing him over the ball.
Yuvraj Singh ko clearly in that World Cup mata aa gayi thi. He was a man possessed. India has produced great players in limited overs cricket. I dare say that there may not be another Yuvraj Singh.
I somehow knew inside of me that inning was coming. And I had a full Sabina Park, Jamaica, 2007, New Zealand, Sri Lanka sort of feel happening to me once again. I'd witnessed that match at the ground, and I was kind of, re-witnessing that. Another crucial game, another big World Cup game, and Mahela Jayawardene turning on the magic.
When Mahela was playing that knock, I actually wanted to look away a lot of times. I was praying for his wicket.
The last 10 overs clearly belonged to them. They scored some 90 odd runs.
Then again my mind went back to stats, right? That's what us journalists do.
So stats told us that no host had ever won a World Cup.
Before that, on 5 occasions in a World Cup final, a batsman had got 100, and on each occasion he had ended up on the winning side.
And no team had chased 275 to win a World Cup game as well. The chips were down. And the only worry at that point for us was, are the Indians choking?
We also have some totka on the sports desk. If we say that, okay, so it's easy for India, we definitely end up losing.
For those 40 odd minutes. In the studio, while doing my shows, me or the experts or the fans watching, everybody just had a prayer.
But back of the mind and deep inside my heart, I was scared.
And we were trying to build that excitement. And we were trying to say that India jeetega, jeetega. But deep inside, we knew it will take a lot. I can never be bored of watching Mahendra Singh Dhoni hit that 6.
That 6, one of the best moments of my life.
And oh my God, what scenes there were after that.
I remember people saying, Chakte India.
I will never forget this night.
This is the ultimate moment. This is the ultimate thing.
हम आपके आभारी हैं.
Celebration! Firecrackers coming out!
274, most of the fans were a little disappointed, but they knew that Sachin Tendulkar would do something.
World Cup final, looking at 275 to chase, that is never easy.
I was pretty certain that with the kind of batting lineup we had, we should be able to chase down 275. But remember, runs on the board in a World Cup final bring their own pressure. And then when we lost a couple of early wickets, there was a sense that, you know, maybe Sri Lanka has more than a chance. This could be their 1983 moment.
I was optimistic, but I was. I also looked at it objectively because it's a World Cup final, and you know, teams batting first, putting up a big total, and remember this was an era where 300s weren't that common, so 270 odd I thought was a good enough total. It was a very competitive total.
You got to stay positive. And this is a saying not just for the players, for the fans.
So Sehwag got out, Sachin Tendulkar got out, and there I was, just holding my head, thinking, oh my God, we made all these preparations, we have all these big guests, we had a live big studio facility quite close to Wankhede Stadium. I thought all that money is going to go waste, and this is just the India team collapsing once again.
Till that point, Sehwag, I think, was hitting a boundary of the first ball of every match, if I'm not mistaken.
The champion of India, the champion of Mumbai, son of the soil, the most loved player on the planet, the player for big occasions, Sachin Tendulkar, nicks one to Lasith Malinga is out.
Pin drop silence. I would say if there would have been a sound of a heartbreak, you would have heard an entire stadium popping.
And I remember pin drop silence in that Wankhede Stadium. Like you could drop a pin and you could hear it. That's how quiet it had all gone.
I think Sachin's dismissal was particularly was a moment that brought out all the nervous anxiety of a World Cup final.
When Sachin got out, Kapil Dev had tears in his eyes. I individually, my heart was sinking.
I told Yuvraj this story one day that I thought we were losing, and he punched me really hard and said, you know, that's what's wrong with you guys. You guys are knuckly fans. You know, you need to back the team when it's down. And it really was down, and I just sat back quite disheartened, frankly, thinking that ye match to gaya haath se.
That was a very tense moment, the first 2 wickets. But we were soon out of it.
Gambhir and Virat, initially they were very careful. Then they started, placing the balls.
I think that 83 run stand is underrated. I think that is what set the base.
When you're looking at 275 and you're looking at the countdown, the real countdown, I mean the safety zone is when there are less than 100 runs to go.
With 3 down, when Virat Kohli fell to a fantastic catch that Dilshan took, 3 down, 100 pass, chasing 200, I think the game had come to a 50-50 situation by that time.
So when I saw Dhoni walking down the stairs, I wasn't surprised. Because I actually had been expecting that to happen.
It was a huge surprise to see MS Dhoni come out at number 5. Because you had a man in form. By that time, pretty much everyone knew that he had been the man of the tournament.
I thought at that very moment that this was the best move.
Mahi walking in instead of Yuvraj Singh was shocking for me as a journalist as well. That particular day, when Dhoni walked in, yes, there were chants of Mahi, but Yuvraj was the man of the moment, the man everybody was waiting for. Yuvraj was the one who had done miracles during that World Cup, and everybody believed that it would be Yuvraj Singh who would get us that match.
Gautam Gambhir and Dhoni rebuilt that innings, and till the end, I kept fearing, abhi out hoga, garbad hogi. I'm honestly not a very hopeful cricket fan. I'm like this very apprehensive cricket fan.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni brings to the crease a remarkable sense of calm. And the moment he walked in and batted for about 10-15 minutes, you sensed that India was on track.
Gautam Gambhir stepping down the track and then getting clean bowled, and there I was holding my hand again. I said, oh my God, we've come so close and now we're going to maybe just stumble at the end. But Dhoni was so cool. It's like everything that he'd prepared his whole life for came together at that moment.
I can never be bored of watching Mahendra Singh Dhoni hit that six. It's just a moment frozen in time. That slight smile on the face when he hits the ball, the ease with which he hits a six. It's almost like he was shelling peas. This is the World Cup final. I mean, you're finishing the World Cup final with a six into the Wankhede Stadium, twirling your bat with a smile on your face. As I look back on watching a lifetime of watching cricket, this must be in those top 5 moments. A moment that I will never forget.
That six, one of the best moments of my life, I would say.
I was inside the Wankhede Stadium, just above the players' pavilion, and that ball darted past us as Dhoni hit that famous helicopter shot. And oh my God, what scenes there were after that.
The perils of being a sports journalist means we seldom get to see the finish of a match. And just like every other match, I wasn't there to see the six.
The last ball of the match, I was watching it on TV just like most of you.
It was the perfect ending to a great script. And I'll never forget that moment.
The only time I've seen it all come together as one was soon after that helicopter shot of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, where everybody was just hugging each other, some were kissing each other on the cheek, even if they don't know the other person. It was a wild celebration.
To be honest, I could not see it live. I was in the studio on the 7th floor on a chroma while the game was about to finish, and we were testing our audio and the video, and we realized that the chroma had failed. So to be honest, that moment I did not see that six.
मुबारक हो मुबारक हो अजहर भाई बहुत जबरदस्त फिलहाल आपको बता दें कि वर्ल्ड कप कप्तान विनिंग कप्तान 1983 हमारे साथ है और वो हम चाहेंगे कि पेटेंट जो है धोनी की टीम को दें विक्रांत और कुछ संदेश आप
इधर से मिठाई भेजते हैं तमाम लोगों को आप भी खाइए टीम वाले भी खाएं और हमारी टीम की तरफ से आपको बहुत बधाई.
It was later that I found out that the chroma was not working and the set could not be loaded. But it was utter madness, not just on the streets of Mumbai, but in the studio of Aaj Tak as well. There were a couple of friends I had in the Indian cricket team at that time, and I spoke to them on phone. I wouldn't like to take names, but I can still remember that I think even I was crying and they were crying as I congratulated them, and these tears were tears of accomplishment. These tears were a fulfilled dream, and I think every Indian could feel that sting in the eye when you see these visuals again and again. Actually, you don't see grown-up boys, grown-up men crying like that.
We were sitting in the studios, and this would have been about 8 or 10 minutes before India eventually won the World Cup. And Kapil Dev was sitting beside me. I said, Paji, ek photo aapki leta hu. This will remain with me forever. And he smiled and did this V. And then he said, and this is off camera, he said, welcome to the club MS, because I have felt lonely at the top, because he was the only World Cup winning Indian captain. And he started sobbing. And there were tears in my eyes. I didn't know what to say.
At the moment, the
You know, watching that video convinces me once again there is no place like Mumbai when it comes to celebrating cricket.
I would have danced for sure. If I was there with these fans, we would have danced for sure. Vidya is a very serious reporter that we have. I've not seen her doing a woo-hoo before this. And frankly, I had not seen this clip because I was there in the lobby as the Indian cricket team was walking in.
You know, the moments after the World Cup final are amongst the most surreal moments of my life, because what happened is that we had a party of all that 60-70,000 crowd from the Wankhede Stadium, and everybody, virtually everybody in that part of Mumbai descend on the road outside the Wankhede in literally the lakhs.
From the Maidan to the stadium, Mumbaikars have a particular love affair with cricket. And on that night of April 2nd, that love affair reached a level of complete exhilaration. 2011, remember, was a year when there were a series of political corruption scandals. There was a lot of depression in the air. But that day and that month of cricket lifted our spirits like no other. And that's what cricket does.
So that's our office. The sports team, the programming team and the crime team, they sit together, and I could see some of them having taken the t-shirts off. I mean, a Saurav Ganguly moment right there in the Aaj Tak India Today office. It's crazy. It's actually happened at our office.
Firstly, I remember the fact that Indian team coming in to, it was that Taj Hotel lobby was packed. You could only enter if you were staying there.
Nobody knew which cake they had to cut, what they had to do. So you see a Sachin Tendulkar popping a champagne bottle. There's his son, a young Arjun with him. Virender Sehwag walks in with his son. And everybody is with their family, and Yuvraj Singh is just clinging tight to the World Cup. He completely owned it. He loved it.
So everyone waiting for the team to come in, and when the team walked in, the entire crowd started, clapping, and there was a thunderous applause. And I remember people saying "Chakte India," a few people singing that.
Looking at these visuals, I wish in my lifetime I get an opportunity to be the right place at the right time, at least once.
I think even if you look at the faces at this particular time, in this particular video, you feel that the victory has not completely sunk in. It was only the next morning that they realized what they had done.
The biggest moment, I will never forget this night. Amazing.
Yes, I think it was the greatest night of my career.
You know, I see your eyes moist at this time. This is obviously a very, very emotional moment for you, Tell me honestly, between yesterday and now, have you cried? Oh, come on, Kapil. Raji! All our fans just owe so much to this man for having showed Indian cricket the way, for having made this dream possible. And this is a truly emotional moment. He's carried this for the last 28 years. This burden of being the only captain who's won a World Cup, and now his dream has been realized. This is hugely emotional for everybody. You know, the thing about the 1983 cricket team was that they carried that tag of being the only World Cup winning team. In that video where you see Kapil cry? You know, it's a bit of a leading question. So I feel, I look at that younger self of mine and I feel it's a bit of a leading question in a very emotional moment. You're saying, "Kya, have you cried so far?" Which is not a very nice thing to do, mind you, but it just brings out the true emotion.
I think a lot of people which probably did not realize the magnitude of that victory, I think this particular visual of Kapil Paji crying and seeing another captain after him after 28 years lift the World Cup, I think this, I can't think of anybody who wouldn't have felt emotional after watching this on live television.
Kapil Dev was never the one who would think, you know, there's somebody who's going to break my record. And you know, so when he said I was alone and welcomed MS Dhoni, he said I was feeling alone, lonely, calm. That was the true Kapil Dev. The only regret, not just for me, for the fans, for these 11 players, is that together, that was the last time they ever featured in the same 11. These 11 players never ever played as a team again for India.
You know, I was watching the 2011 World Cup final in the company of the great Sir Viv Richards, arguably the greatest one-day batsman of all time, two-time World Cup winner. And I could see the excitement in Viv Richards building up as India was approaching the target. He was almost childlike in his enthusiasm. And even when India lost wickets, he kept looking at me and saying, "Nah, India's going to win, man. India's going to win, man."
I was also waiting for Dhoni, and I expected that not just Sachin Tendulkar, but I will interview Dhoni as well. Dhoni was nowhere to be seen. I kept on tracing him. At that time, he used to keep a mobile, and you could call him. Now, every cricketer complains that he does not keep a mobile. But I was trying to send a message, and Dhoni was nowhere to be seen. I asked his teammates that, "Have you seen Dhoni?" Nobody knew anything at that time.
I think the biggest, noise that came, and that was the oohs and the ahs and gasps that I heard, was when people saw MS Dhoni the next day, because MS Dhoni walking in that night had his, carefully manicured mane on top of his head, to the MS Dhoni that came out walking in the next day was bald.
It was shocking for everybody. What happened to Dhoni? And then we got to know that he had just walked inside his room, spread newspapers on his bed, and just shaved off his head. I did not know that these stories would be told over and over again, and nobody would ever get bored of listening to them. But these things were happening in front of my eyes. And even now when I think about it and when I'm speaking about it, there's a sense of disbelief. It was a miracle that happened on 2nd April 2011.